The sun was dipping low over the horizon, painting the desert sky in shades of crimson and gold, when Isabella's world crumbled in silence. She stood in the courtyard of her father's estate, her heart heavy, her breath caught between fear and disbelief. The decision had been made. Her father, a wealthy nobleman, had deemed her a disgrace, unworthy of his name, unworthy of his pride. She had always been different, soft where others were slender, gentle where others were sharp, and her body, fuller than society celebrated, was considered a burden to the family's honor. For years, her kindness, her quiet laughter, and her boundless heart had been invisible to him. To her father, she was only a mark of shame, a punishment wrapped in flesh. And now, he had found a way to rid himself of her. She would be handed over to an Apache warrior, not as a gift of love or respect, but as a cruel punishment, a final insult disguised as a bargain. The night was cold when they came for her. Bound neither by chains nor by ropes, but by the invisible weight of rejection, Isabella climbed into the wooden cart. She clutched the shawl around her shoulders, not to shield herself from the desert air, but to shield her heart from breaking. Her father had not even looked at her when he signed her fate away. The only sounds that filled her ears were the creak of wheels and the distant howl of coyotes as the cart rolled toward the Apache lands. She did not weep, though every part of her wanted to. Instead, she whispered to herself, "Perhaps beyond this horizon, my soul will finally find freedom." The Apache warrior awaited her at the edge of the desert. Tall, with dark eyes that carried storms and stories of battles past, his name was Dakota. He did not smile when she arrived. His expression was unreadable, his silence heavy. To him, this arrangement was strange. Why would a father discard his own daughter so coldly? Dakota did not understand the customs of nobles, nor their obsession with appearances. But he accepted Isabella nonetheless, not as property, but as a life entrusted into his care. As the cart left her behind and vanished into the desert dust, she stood before him trembling. She lowered her eyes, expecting ridicule, expecting rejection once more. But Dakota only spoke 4 words in his steady, grounded voice: "You are safe here." Those words were the first crack of light in her darkness. Days turned into weeks, and Isabella slowly learned the rhythm of Apache life. The people were different from everything she had known. There were no gilded halls, no fine silks, no mirrors to remind her of her father's scorn. Here, every hand was busy with work, every soul valued for what they could give, not for how they appeared. At first, she struggled, her soft hands blistered from grinding maize, her feet sore from walking uneven earth. Yet, in her clumsy attempts, Dakota's eyes never mocked her. When she faltered, he guided. When she doubted, he reassured. And when the nights grew heavy with loneliness, his silence was a comfort more profound than words. But not everyone welcomed her easily. Whispers stirred in the village. Why had Dakota, a respected warrior, accepted a woman discarded by her own blood? Some laughed, some sneered, calling her the noble's unwanted child. Yet, Isabella met their whispers not with bitterness, but with kindness. She shared what she could, mending clothes, singing lullabies to children, offering smiles even when her heart trembled. Slowly, like seeds watered with patience, her gestures began to take root. Children started to seek her stories, women her gentle advice, and the elderly her soft-spoken prayers. Though she had been sent as punishment, she was becoming, quietly, a gift. The turning point came on a day of fire and fear. A sickness swept through the village, fierce and unyielding. Children burned with fevers, elders collapsed from weakness, and panic filled the air like smoke. The people grew restless, desperate. Dakota fought to hold his people together, but despair was heavy. Isabella, remembering the remedies whispered by the servants of her childhood home, threw herself into the heart of the storm. She ground herbs, brewed teas, bathed foreheads with cool water. For days, she did not sleep, her body aching, her breath ragged. But she did not stop. She sang soft songs to the sick, words of comfort she herself had never heard. One by one, the fevers broke, the children opened their eyes, the elders found their strength again. The village watched her transform in those days. She was no longer the discarded noblewoman, no longer a punishment handed off to a warrior. She had become the heartbeat of their survival, a mother to the weak, a sister to the weary, a light in the darkest night. And for Dakota, who had seen countless battles but never such unyielding tenderness, she became something deeper still. He saw in her not the weight of her body, but the weight of her courage. Not the softness of her form, but the softness of her spirit that healed wounds unseen. One evening, when the stars spilled like silver dust across the sky, Dakota led her to a quiet place near the river. The water reflected the moonlight, shimmering with secrets. For a long time, they stood in silence, listening to the current, the world breathing around them. Then Dakota spoke, his voice softer than she had ever heard it. "Your father gave you away as punishment," he said, "but to me, you are no curse. You are the gift the Creator knew I needed." Tears filled Isabella's eyes, not of sorrow this time, but of release. She had lived her whole life unseen, unloved, unvalued. And yet here, in a land she had been thrown into like a discarded stone, she had found not only acceptance, but love. Pure, unshaken, unwavering. That night, she wept into Dakota's chest, her heart finally believing that she was worthy of love, of belonging, of being cherished. Years passed, and Isabella's presence became the quiet legend of the village. Children grew up remembering her songs, elders spoke of her hands that healed, and young women looked to her as proof that worth is never in the body, but always in the soul. She bore Dakota children, each carrying the fire of their father and the tenderness of their mother. And though the world outside still judged beauty by shallow standards, within that desert village, Isabella became the embodiment of a truth that outlives time, that love is never about perfection, but about seeing the heart that others overlook. One day, many years later, when a traveler came to the village asking about the noblewoman given away as punishment, the people only smiled. They pointed to Isabella, surrounded by children, laughter spilling from her lips like sunlight. "She was given away as punishment," they said, "but here, she became our blessing." And so, what began as cruelty ended as a story of redemption. Isabella had been rejected by her own blood, but found family where she least expected. She had been shamed for her body, but discovered her beauty in the kindness she carried. And she had been cast aside as a burden, only to be embraced as a treasure. In the end, it was not wealth, nor power, nor the hollow pride of her father that defined her life. It was love, the kind that sees beyond the surface, the kind that heals, the kind that transforms punishment into purpose. And for every heart that hears her story, the message remains: you are never defined by the world's rejection, but by the love and light you choose to give.